Hey everyone, welcome back to Life After Sunday, the midweek mic. We are on episode 23,
Yes.
and the title of the sermon that we're talking about is called Ancient Tactics.
Yeah. It was a message from John this week. John, the speaker at our church,
We always like
but
John.
also the book of John.
Oh, yeah,
John times two.
exactly. So, the ancient tactics that we're talking about are so ancient that we started in Genesis.
Yeah.
So in Genesis, we were discussing Adam and Eve and how the enemy tricked them into making the downfall of all humankind.
Right. Way to go, guys.
Way to go, guys. You ruined it for everybody. So the way that he did it was, of course, through questioning and things, but we were most focused on their attention. The enemy's ancient tactics, it's not primarily for us to be tempted in obvious sin, but tempting us to think alone and apart from God.
Yeah.
And that's what he did with Adam and Eve in the beginning. We wrestle with that, I think, is just we're in this I'll figure it out on my own mindset. And we struggle with actually trying to give anything to God.
Yeah. And we've talked about that before, how hard it
Numerous
is
times.
to.
I struggle with it constantly.
Yeah.
So we're tricked into this by looking at the object, being focused on the object that is at hand, or the situation, or the chaos, everything that's around us. We're focused on that instead of focusing on God.
Right.
So in my case and in my instances, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is that we don't allow God to be part of the conversation when it comes up. And that's where we talked about this week, is just we have to be aware of where our attention is when we're in those situations. He talked again about the autonomy of life, trying
Yeah.
to live it alone. And I think that's where a lot of us try to do, is we try to live alone in our mind.
Yeah. And it's easy to do, one, because we live in a self-centered world. So that's always the way you think and act and are taught to be. And then I think, too, we are let down by people a lot. So we just learn to internalize and figure it out on our own, not trusting people, but forgetting that God is above that, obviously.
And I think so the focus we should be switching to is abiding in God. And I think in the situations when we're fighting those battles in our mind, is because it is in our mind, so we think I'm in this alone. And we don't invite God into the conversation until we've exhausted all options our own. We have that of our self-reliant options and whatever you can get done on your own. And then I will pray at the end of this.
Right. He's like a last resort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will pray God into my situation, into my plan that I've devised on my own. I think that leads us, when we're outside of God and we're not making him the situation our focus, then we are analyzing the situation. We're overanalyzing, we're overthinking, we're just interpreting it in our own minds.
And always thinking, what am I going to do about this?
Because it's very easy to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to think of, when you are so used to doing things on your own or getting things done, because that's the world we live in. We're expected to not really reach out for help or do things with, although in college there was always group projects, and I hated group projects.
There was always a slacker, and then you end up doing all the work. It's not fair. Anyways.
But anyway, other than group projects, we should be reaching out to God as soon as the situation happens.
I think we like to suffer in silence.
Like when we're in God's presence and we're abiding in him and we're seeing the situation through his lens and we've brought it to him, there will be peace.
Right.
But when we're doing it and we're self-reliant and it's just about me and my mindset, then there's a lot of pressure on you to figure it out, to do this on your own. And
to not make a wrong decision.
And when you do that, majority of the time it's the wrong decision. And then you're stuck in this chaotic mindset that you can't figure out where to go next, what to do. And sometimes it does seem peaceful at first.
Yeah.
You're like, oof, I made that decision. It's going well. And then next thing you know, you're down the road and you're like, oh, there's something else that's messed up.
Yeah.
There's never that peace with the decisions that have been made.
And I think the peace of God too just transcends all circumstance or decision being made. It's a deep rooted, I'm okay no matter what's happening around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked when he brought in, because you mentioned we talked about John. I liked when he brought in the example of Jesus in
Yeah.
his life.
Yeah. Do you want me to read the scripture?
I do.
Okay.
That's why
We're reading
presented
John chapter 5, verse 19. So Jesus explained, I tell you the truth, the Son can do nothing by himself. He does only what he sees the Father doing. Whatever the Father does, the Son also does.
Yeah.
So Jesus relying on the Father.
He lived continually in communion with the Father.
Yeah.
Every time there was something, he went off to pray on his
Right.
own. His life was not just his, it was God's. And he had a purpose here, and he lived in that purpose. He didn't just resist temptation, but he abided constantly in
Yeah.
God's presence.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the struggle with us, is when we get to those temptations, we think that we have to fight through them. I have to fight on my own.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's difficult because I'm flesh with a
Yeah.
spirit.
And flesh fails you. Yeah.
And Jesus was the same. He was flesh with the divine nature, and he relied on the truths
Yeah.
from God's word.
Right.
And he relied on God when he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane. He brought to God, hey, listen, I'm struggling with it. And he was honest and real with him. And he asked for his guidance, and he knew what he had to do. I think that's where we get at sometimes, is we're like, can I do this on my own? I think I can. I can't bring this to God because I need to handle this myself.
Yeah. We think we know better or can do better, which is super silly. Or like we've said before too, you're just afraid of the mess or afraid of the shame that you feel that you're not
Yeah.
being completely open and honest.
And I still often struggle with that. Still struggle with trying to handle everything mentally and spiritually on my
Sure.
own.
Yeah.
And from experience, just saying it doesn't work. But I love that in John chapter 5, we have that example of what he's talking about. Nothing can be done except through the Father. So nothing that I go through can be successful and can give me that peace only through the Father. And Jesus wasn't just the example. His life is also deposited into us. So we have that ability. We just have to be able to refocus our attention and awareness from the situation and into the peace of God.
Right.
So how do we do that, Stephanie? Do you
Right.
remember the application?
Are you pausing this part?
No, I'm not. No, there were some steps that he mentioned, and I wrote
Yeah.
them down.
Good job.
There were four helpful steps, he says.
They were all R's, weren't they? Yeah, never mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they
The
were
4
all
R's.
4 R's. So recognize what's happening. Reject the invitation to evaluate alone. Return to God. Relate the situation to him.
Yeah.
So the heart behind all of it is relationship with God and not self-reliance.
Yeah.
So it's funny that this all came up because, as many of you know, as I'm going through some kind of breakthrough, and I think during that breakthrough has really been my mental mindset and where my focus has always been. And I think a lot of us can relate to this situation. Is just you get into those periods where it's just, I need to think this through and plan it out myself. His also was because he had an example and he was struggling with this same concept, and it wasn't really he was struggling. He recognized that he had developed this characteristic of being able to recognize and then reject the invitation to go into the spiral
Yes.
And I think me in the past, I have accepted the invitation to spiral out of control. And it's funny because I know and knew that God invited me to have peace and invited the situation and wanted to be in the situation. I just don't know if I completely had the capacity to understand that, just because you are like, we are planners. We love to plan. We plan the crap out of things. We overanalyze stuff. I was told I overthink, and that's one of the things that I gift curse was
Can be good and bad.
it can be good and bad, and unfortunately I allowed that of overthinking go into the bad aspects of life. His was comparison, and I know a lot of us can be in that trap of comparing ourselves.
Right.
We can see the life that is displayed on social media, and we can see what people only want us to see. Not only social media, I think social media always gets a bad rap because you can filter and you can edit and stuff, but even in life, do we show our
Don't you share the good things
you
in
only
life
want to share?
more frequently than the bad? You're not going to go up to someone and be like, guess what? I sinned again.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Yeah.
Even I'm thinking like the good things of our life is I'm not going to invite somebody to my house unexpectedly because I know that there will be toys everywhere. We just had a couple from church stop in on our house on Sunday, and I was like, oh, I feel so white trash
Don't
right
mind
now.
the blanket fort
we had
everywhere, and
we had basketball hoops down in the driveway. We had a cooler full of popsicles. I don't know. It was just like I felt really like I didn't want to display
not
this.
prepared, not your best side showing.
And we love them, and they were.
Then they didn't care.
Really didn't care. But it's just that isn't something I would present to people. And that's, if I had it, they would never see the messiness of my life. So I think like when we see people for what they're presenting, we get into habit of belittling ourselves and getting into shameful thoughts and thinking that we are less than and that God is going to use them over me. I know John has been stepping out speaking and stuff, and I know from experience when you step out to speak, you tend to compare yourself to the people who speak every Sunday.
Right.
Even this podcast, we could compare ourselves to people who are actually professionals and do this and have a whole production team. And you get into that spiral of I'm not good enough, God can't use me here, and then you talk yourself out of your calling. And you talk yourself out of God's presence in a situation that he really wants to be in. So I think it's important for us to not take that invitation and spiral out of what God's calling us to do.
And just the reminder too, if you think of focusing on God when you're going through something, we are so involved in our situation, in our mess, whatever's happening. Take a step back and look at what God's doing around you. Don't focus so much on this moment in your life that's going to be such a tiny blip when you're making it this huge grand scale thing.
Yeah.
Take a step back and realize this is insignificant in matter of eternity. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's important for us too, because if we are so self-focused and we can only see what's in front of us,
right,
we start turning the truths into lies. We start seeing the lies that the enemy wants us to see. I think of like health issues, like when people have health issues, instead of like a little crick in the neck could be I'm dying in 2 months. If I really overanalyze it and take it to WebMD, it's not like I step outside of that and then decide that I'm going to give it to God. I'm going to say, yeah, that's there, but I'm going to go get actual help from doctors, or I'm going to give this up to God, and whatever happens will be, because God is in control of it. I think in those application steps, one of the steps that I struggle with is relate the situation to him. I'm like, wait, how do I get God into this situation?
Yeah.
It's like trying to open up my mental capacity, which is not that big, and thinking, God, how am I going to get you into this situation? Like, how do I do it? And where was the focus again?
can I do?
What
Yeah.
can I do? What can I do? So if you are in that situation, you're like, what can I do? Really giving it up to God is praying, getting into his word, seeking wise counsel from others. I think that's what we say for all of these on
It all boils down to the same
how to give it to God.
concepts. Yeah.
But I think like when you're praying these 4 applications, that's how you would turn the situation over to him. And so I think something that I've been praying a lot, because they're like simple things that have come up and that you can allow anxiety to overrule and control, and that's where the lens would be coming in, and the invitation is accepted to allow anxiety to rule my life instead of God. And I was thinking, like, how do I pray that? Because I do this already. I've been doing this. And the prayer is, Lord, I feel fear right now. So I recognize what's happening. Like, I'm not
Just name it.
ignoring it. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that it's not there. I'm
Yeah.
not just trying to avoid it, because once you try to avoid fear, you're trying to do it out of your own ability, and it just intensifies and it gets greater, and you end up having a mental breakdown. So we are going to identify it. We're going to say, Lord, I feel fear right now, and it's loud. And then we know what we would typically do is I feel myself wanting to run ahead mentally. So like I recognize that there is fear or whatever emotion or situation that you're letting run or is coming up for you. You say, I recognize it. I know what my patterns used to be. I know that I would want to, let's say if it is like a health reason, I know I want to WebMD so hard. I want to try to be a doctor myself, but I will return to God. I give this to you. Show me what's true. Be with me in this. I trust you more than this fear. So we are recognizing what's happening, and then we are in our minds just giving it to him.
Yeah.
And this isn't going to be a one-time prayer.
No.
Every time that little comparison or that fear or what have you comes up, you say, no,
Yeah, just call it out.
it's gone. I know what you're trying to do. You're not going to do this, enemy. I do not accept the invitation to come into the spiral that you're laying out ahead of me. I know that I have freedom in God, and I'm going to go to him. And God, let this be the point that you give me some peace.
Yeah.
And then let's say a couple of minutes come by and it comes up again. You're like, no, I am speaking this in the name of Jesus, that I will not fall into the trap of fear. I will not fall into the trap of comparison. And
Yeah.
you just will do it as many times until it starts getting easier. And I'm not speaking this out of somebody who successfully has completed it or
No, but this is like perfect timing.
out of not
for
experiencing it. Like
you right
I'm
now.
experiencing it, and I do this daily. I'm like, no, even comparisons. Like I've noticed that I compare myself a ton, and I'm like, no, I have good qualities that God has given me to succeed in his ministry,
Yeah.
to do what he wants me to do, his will, and so has that other person.
Mm-hmm.
Do I like that other person's skills more? Do I think that other person does it great? Yes. But does that belittle or lessen what I have? No, because God uses what's not perfect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So just keep doing what you got to do. That's what I got to
Do
say.
what you got to do. Yeah. So just remember, if you've been stuck in your own head a lot, if you've been in a cycle that you found yourself multiple times where you feel like maybe you're failing, you're handling things alone, it's not going well, you keep trying to rely on yourself. Don't think that you're too far gone. God's not mad. He's ready to accept you back. There's always an open invitation to come back to him because he wants to carry these heavy things for you. He wants to walk beside you in all the things. And like from experience, there's been so many times where I thought, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with this again. And just dealing with that same stuff over and over. But again, it was me trying to deal with it in my own way
Yeah.
and was not successful. Trying all the routes except God. before. Just don't give up, don't lose hope. Just be encouraged to bring it to God.
Yeah. And when you get back into his presence, there is peace. In his peace, you're in his rest. There is some peace and rest for you.
And freedom.
When you are back into the invitation of his presence. I would just say, evaluate yourself today. Is there anything that you're holding on to? Is there something that you are evaluating on your own and not giving it to God? Whatever it is, are you willing to give it to God today? Are you willing to not bite that invite to be in your spiral or your downward play? Are you going to invite God into the situation and ask him to just give you the clarity that is needed and to just bring him into that invitation and in that situation? We encourage you to, because as of right now, I'm like, I can see a night and day with the things that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
And do I still struggle with them? Yes. But do I know where I need to go? And what do I not need to accept? Yes. I know to not accept the invitation, to analyze and to overthink and to do this on my own. I now know how to give it to God, and I know to pray and to look into his word and to seek his counsel in a situation. Yeah, so that's what we have for you today. We love talking with you guys. We hope to talk to you next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks.